2 more.
So, we're doing the Unit 10 review. I know the numbers are off. It's because I deleted the section 10-1. So, sorry, these numbers are not right. That's good. On the first one, I want to translate this function, right 7 and down 6. If I'm going to go right 7, is that inside or outside?
Inside.
Inside. So, the 7 is going to go inside with the x. Is it going to be a plus 7 or a minus 7?
Minus.
A minus. And then the down 6?
Minus 6 on the outside.
Minus 6 on the outside.
Are you going to do that thing where you tell us how many they are on this test?
There's 14 questions. I'm not going to tell you specifically which ones are which, but there's 14. It's shorter. It's a shorter test.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, number 3.
How many they are? Like,
Yeah, 14.
no, how many?
Yeah, she said she's not going to do that.
I thought she.
I know she used to.
Miss, can we use that?
Yes, the whole thing is calculator.
Okay.
I'm cold.
All right, number 3. So for the vertical asymptotes and the horizontal asymptotes, those come from the numbers on the inside with the x and on the outside. Now, since there's are no numbers there, what are they understood to be? 0. Very good, because it's like saying plus 0. So vertical asymptote is at x equals 0. Horizontal asymptote is at y equals 0. So on my graph, I'm going to plot my zeros. Now for the bananas, if it's positive, it's going to go in those quadrants. If it's negative, it's going in those quadrants. So because your A value is negative, we are going in this quadrant and this one. Number 4. Alright, number 4 actually does have numbers. So my vertical asymptote is coming from this number right here.
Please tell me to turn on the game.
I am. I'm fixing to. Haley, will you?
More than a little bit.
So the vertical asymptote is coming from this number right here, but what do you have to remember to do?
So it's 0. So I think it's
Negative 2.
Oh.
But yes, but the outside one we're going to keep the same. So the outside will still stay a negative 3. Alright, so your vertical asymptote is at negative 2. Your horizontal one is at negative 3. And is my A value positive or negative? Good. So 1 and 3. Alrighty. That's okay.
Everyone's banana special.
Go over here to number 6. Number 6, we're going to talk about domain and range. So, for the domain, we are going to use all of the x values except for what number?
0.
Where's my asymptote at? Negative 3. And so for the range, we're going to use all the y values except for what number? 3, because your y value is right here. Alright. Jump down to number 8.
Didn't you just use the equation to draw yourself?
What equation?
The equation in the top corner?
Yeah. Alright, on number 8 it says find all the points of discontinuity. For the points of discontinuity, we are going to factor the bottom. So what two numbers multiply to give me negative 7, add to give me 6?
1 and negative 7.
1 and...
1 and negative 1.
Wait. Positive 7, negative 1.
Oh! Sorry, I saw that as a...
And so where are my points of discontinuity at?
Negative 7.
Very good. Negative 7 and 1. So points of discontinuity, I don't even care what's on the top. It does not matter about the bottom.
For the points of discontinuity, I'm sorry, discontinuity.
Uh-huh.
You need to set it to 0 or you just state it?
You do set it to 0, but most of y'all can do it in your head by now.
sorry.
That's why the sign switch.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Which part?
I forgot what this is. It's kind of
How did I say it?
You wanted to ask
Is that the restrictions?
It's the same thing as restrictions, yeah. Alright, go to number 10. Shh. Too much talking, guys. Too much talking. Shh. Number 10, we're talking about holes and vertical asymptotes. So holes, it's the same thing, points of discontinuity, it's the same thing as restrictions. These all just have different names. It depends on kind of what's the question asking for, but it's kind of the same process. So there's still points of discontinuity. I'm still concerned about the bottom, but I just want to get more. So holes can cross out, which means you have the same factor on the top and the bottom. So what can cross out here?
X equals 2.
So where's my hole at?
X equals 2.
X equals 2. All right. And once again, I'm still just looking at the bottom. So is there anything left over on the bottom?
4. Yeah.
The 4. So that's where your asymptote will be at, and it's going to be at -4.
So I always change it to negative. But I
You can just put -4. What's up?
X is so negative.
Mm-hmm. Because you're still setting it equal to 0.
Oh, yeah.
All right, go to 12, 13, and 14. 12, 13, and 14 are the little rhymes for horizontal asymptotes. So, what is the degree of the top?
Same coefficient. Oh, wait, no. Same.
Hold on, I'm not to the rhyme yet.
2.
The degree is 2. What's the degree of the bottom? 2. Okay, so same degree, coefficients are your game. So same coefficients are your game. So we're going to take the coefficients of the front guys. 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So your horizontal asymptote is at 3. For number 13, what is the degree of the top? What's the degree of the bottom? So low over high, y equals 0. So low over high, there's y equals 0.
You just say low over high, 0 equals 1.
Think about it. Low over high, you must die. You have 0 life.
That's what I said. Low over high, 0 equals 1. That makes sense. That makes more sense to say.
What?
Low over high, 0 equals 1.
That works too.
Why did you been saying that the whole time?
Low over high, 0 equals y. That's fine.
Wow. Someone needs to write that down.
Okay, for the last one, what's the degree of the top?
3.
2? Is it 2?
High
And
over low.
and 1. So high over low,
There's no.
there's no. So none.
Wait, bye, Angie. Be safe.
Not available.
Alrighty. Go to number 15. Alright, we're simplifying and stating the restrictions here. So we have to factor what are two numbers that multiply to give me -32 but add to give me -4? 8. 8 and 4. Oh shoot. So -8 plus 4. And then I have p plus 4 down here. So first you factor, then do the restrictions. So what are my restrictions? P, right, can't be -4. And then we're going to cross out. What can cross out? The p plus 4s, and so I'm just left with p minus 8.
Forget you, P. Minus 8.
All right, go to 16. On 16, you can't factor this one, but we still are going to have restrictions. What can x never be? 0. And what can y never be? 0. All right, so now we're just, what's up?
Oh, okay. I was like, you just don't do anything else. That's not.
7 by 2.
We're reducing here. So what can you divide both of those guys by? 7. So 7 divided by 7, 1. And then 14 divided by 7 is 2. And then what can I divide both of these by? 5. So 15 divided by 5, 3. And 5 divided by 5, 1. All right, so you can't reduce the numbers anymore. So what number is going to be left on top? 6, because 2 times 3. And then for the variables, I have an x2 and an x3.
Oh my god, they're both going to be on the bottom, aren't they?
So 2 minus 3 is what? -1, so it's going to be x1 on the bottom. And then I have a y1 on top and a y3 on bottom. So 1 minus 3,
Negative something.
-2. So they're both going to be on bottom on this one.
Look, I'm trying, okay? It's Wednesday.
When the
The-
exponent turns negative, you have to put it on the bottom.
Ew, algebra 1 is, that's the only reason I almost failed because I could not figure that out.
All right, go to number 18. 18, we're multiplying and stating the restrictions. So it's kind of the same thing, it's just a bigger problem. So we're still going to factor everything. So y squared, y plus 1, times, what are two numbers to multiply to give you 2, add to give you 3?
2 and 1.
2 and 1. So y plus 2, y plus 1. And then how do I factor the bottom?
Take out a y.
Take out a y. All right, so let's do my restrictions.
I realize everything I say sounds like a question from my shit.
What are the restrictions for y?
Negative 1.
Negative 1, negative 3, and 0. So negative 1, negative 3, and 0 from the y by itself. And now we're going to cross out. What can you cross out? A y plus 1. And then what about this y squared and this y?
Yeah.
Can't you reduce that?
Yeah.
So this is like a y1, right? So 2 minus 1 is 1. So that guy goes away.
Oh my god.
That'll just turn into a 1.
How did I make it here?
So y and y plus 2 are on top, and y plus 3 is on bottom.
I don't know 2 minus 1. I know, and then I struggle to tell her what it is.
Alrighty.
For whoever has to listen to this next year.
Go to number 20.
Oh, wait,
Actually, I'm going to do 21.
I mean, if she uses the exact same papers, why not?
21.
50 years later, who are these people?
C plus 1, C minus 3 you can't factor, and C minus 2 you can't factor.
Oh, I'm on the wrong problem.
Yeah, I skipped to 21.
Where are
Sorry.
you getting C's from?
So what two numbers multiply to give you 10, add to give you negative 7? Good. Negative 5, negative 2.
You know, I feel like it'd be a fun game if you just had to figure it out.
So, what can C never be on this problem?
3, 5.
Good. 3, 5, and 2. And now, because this is a division problem, you need to keep, change, flip. So we are going to keep the first fraction.
Dude, I tried to do
Change the sign to a multiply. Shh. And flip the second one. When you flip the second one, make sure you don't have any additional restrictions. So I already have the restriction of 2, so I'm good. Got all my restrictions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now cross out. What could, C minus 2.
Oh, I thought she didn't know. I was like, what do you mean?
So C plus 1 and C minus 5 are on top, and C minus 3 are on bottom.
Let me check some.
Okay, we're almost done. Flip it over on the back. We're going to do 23. 23 we are adding, so we need a common denominator. So I'm going to factor first. So a plus 8, a minus 8. It's a difference of squares. And then you need to multiply until you can get a common denominator. So what do I need to multiply this side by? Good, a minus 8. So I'm going to multiply this side by a minus 8. And if I do it to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. So now your denominators the same? Yes. Yeah. So when your denominators are the same, they're not going to change. They're going to stay whatever they are. So in this case, a minus 8, a plus 8. And then the top, we're just going to combine everything. Now remember, I told you you don't have to simplify if you don't want to. So if you want to leave it like this, I'm fine with that. All right, just for sake of time in this class. But you technically, math-wise, are supposed to simplify. And so if you wanted to, it's not that hard. We're just going to multiply the 7 out. So you get 7a minus 56 plus 5. And 56 plus 5 is just 51. So 7a minus 51 over a minus 8, a plus 8, is what you're going to see later on. What's up?
If you were to write 7 parentheses a minus 8 parentheses plus 5 is that still be right?
Wait, 7 parentheses a minus 8 plus 5? Yeah.
So why couldn't you just add the 7 and the 5 in the first place?
Order of operation says you have to multiply before you can add. PEMDAS.
And you also can have the 5 to
Okay. Let's do 24 next. Alright, on 24, we are going to factor. So what multiplies to give me negative 24, subtracts to give me 2.
6 and 4.
6 and 4, plus 6 minus 4. What multiplies to give me negative 30, adds to give me 1.
5 and 6.
So plus 6 minus 5.
Sure.
Alright, let's look at this problem. Instead of multiplying n a w plus 6, what would be the easier route?
Cancel them out.
Cancel them out, because you see how you have 1 on top, 1 on bottom? So we can cancel those out instead. And so w minus 4 plus 8 over w minus 5. And w minus 4 plus 8 is really just w plus 4. Right? Negative 4 plus 8 is just positive 4.
Wait, I have a question.
What's up?
Okay, so you added the 8 to the 4 there, but why in the previous question? Why couldn't you add the 5 to the 8?
There was nothing to multiply w minus 4 by.
Okay.
And so that's why I can go straight to adding. On this one, because the 7, you have to multiply first
Oh.
and then add. But there's nothing here. If there was something in front of these parentheses, then you're right. You'd have to multiply before you could add.
Oh, because you do 8 minus 8 times 7. Right?
No.
Because you multiply them on both sides.
Parentheses
What?
first.
I'm talking about 23, by the way.
Yeah.
On the top where you're trying to get the denominators at the bottom one,
Uh-huh.
you're trying to get them the same, you had to multiply them on top and bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. When you said it, I was like, sure.
All right, let's go to 26. We're almost done. I just have 2 more examples to do.
Is this the one where you never mind, I forgot what I was going to say.
All
I had the
right.
question a long time ago and I forgot.
So side conversations, let's quit them for these last 2 problems. If you have one fraction equals another fraction, how do I solve that?
Cross multiply.
Cross multiply, very good. So we're going to cross multiply here. Negative 5 times x plus 5 equals 4, x minus 4. And so now we're just going to solve this. So we're going to distribute negative 5x minus 25 equals 4x minus 16.
I got a weird answer for this.
No.
Negative 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to add 5x. We got to get our x's together.
Well, thanks for the answer.
Yeah. I'm fixing to tell you here in a second. So 4 plus 5 is 9x. We did do this yesterday. This is the notes we took yesterday.
Don't mind to tell us answers during the test, by the way.
Negative 25 plus 16 is negative 9. And then we can divide by 9, and we get negative 1. All right, so are we okay on that one?
Yep.
Last one, 28. So this one has lots of fractions, and so we need to get a common denominator. What is my common denominator going to be?
5A.
5a. So do I need to multiply that one by anything?
No.
What about this one?
Yes.
By what?
5.
By 5. And then what about this last one, 2 over 1
5A.
times 5a?
Yeah.
So once all of your denominators are the same, they're all 5a, what do you do? Cancel them out.
Oh my god.
So I have 1 plus, what's 5 times 5? Equals 2 times 5a? 10a. 1 plus 25? Yes, it is. 26a. And then what's the last step?
Divide 10A on both sides.
Divide by 10. And so a is going to be, I'm going to reduce 13 over 5. These word problems here, these are all bonus questions. So all these word problems are bonus.